research other companies that are involved in the nuclear industry that I think in a way may have gotten pushed upon Japan to get involved in that because it's a business, it's a huge business going on worldwide. So I just wondered if you could comment on that.
Yeah, it's a job. It's a job opportunities will be lost, and part of the reason I included those nuclear mafia people, in the film. You saw all those people, from the municipalities with all those nuclear power stations, and we are just calling it a nuclear mafia. They are trying to snatch as much subsidiary money as possible from the government, and they can use it in their own cities and towns. And what they argue is that, okay, yeah, like a nuclear power, nuclear energy is very dangerous, and then it's okay to move away from it. But then who's going to protect our jobs? That's what they said. That's their rhetoric, and so it's much deeper than just the purism of thinking. Okay, we just to get rid of the nuclear energy because it's so harmful to the human health. It's not that simple. It's much deeper, and fundamental problem here is that Japanese society's got this colonial system. Even like 200 years or 300 years ago, since the samurai era, that the central capital is exploiting the rural regions. They are standing on the sacrifice of the rural regions. So they don't have, those small towns and the villages don't have any industry there, and they had to send the people to the big town, big cities to find work before. And now they got those monies, as you saw in the movie, and then over the, during these 40 years with the nuclear power plants, they totally became dependent on it. So without it, their lives don't really continue. So that's the thing, but that's everywhere in Japan, and I see what's happening in France, and I see what's in the U.S., and it's very similar too. It's a very colonialism system. This structure has to be changed somehow. Otherwise, maybe it's not going to be a nuclear, but it's going to be the same thing. Okay? It's the small town people will be sacrificed.
I'm quite embarrassed to ask you that I'm come from Tokyo, Japan. It's quite a basic question, and I wonder nowadays how mayor get his income. And the second question is it seems that the Futaba village is almost bankrupt or gone. In that case, in that situation, how the next board election? And also, third question is that my English is quite limited, so I cannot say it in Japanese. 3番目の質問はですね、多分この町のケースが日本でこれから小さい社会とか小さな政治が生まれるすごく大きなきっかけが大きいなというのは一番面白いと思うんですが、そのことをずっと記録し続けるというような計画はおありですか？はい。
The third question was, I think this case of Futaba town is actually a very good example of how a small society or a small political scene can develop, and in Japan, which until now was not actually existing really because of a dependency to the center. And I was wondering if you are having plans of actually continuing to film or documenting on film this development of the growth of the small societies and politics.
Yeah, I don't know how much the mayor is getting, but he actually waived 70% of his income, and he's getting just 30%. And of course, the city budget is going to be very limited because there's no taxpayers. And so the government is discussing that they're going to step in and give some special funding to this town. That's the second question. And the third question, we'd like to continue filming until we until they find the final settlement. I hope that they're going to go back to their hometown, and we want to continue filming them. But sadly, we have to admit the reality that they might not be able to go back forever. Then, in that case, we're going to continue filming until they find a new settlement. They are talking. Actually, Japanese government, as you saw at the end of the movie, they said nuclear crisis over. And that's why, I thought it's okay. I have to finish this film, and then because I could have a continue filming forever. But when the announcement happened, I thought it's okay. This is the right moment. I disclose this movie all over the world and show them and ask them, is it over? And that's the that's the most fundamental thing that I'd like to express here, and I really hope the Japanese government and the TEPCO act swiftly to protect their own citizens and do the compensation as fast as they can, because they haven't started to rebuild their new lives. It's all those money compensation for their land and houses not paid yet.
I'm over here on the left. Thank you a lot for your film. I guess it's only a very small part of what happened last year in Japan, but nonetheless I think it's a very important part of that you made us show, that you made us look at. I wanted to ask a question about the music, because I think that even though there are many facts, we also see the faces of the people, and I think it's a film that makes us feel with the people. And to me, the music seems to be chosen very well. Maybe you can comment on that. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment. That's one thing I really wanted to do. I couldn't, I thought I really wanted to depict the entire town. And by observing the town very carefully, then your mind is going to start expanding, and you can understand the entire the issues, fundamental issues of this what's happening in Fukushima and what's happening in Japan. That's why I titled the film "Nuclear Nation." So I didn't want to make this one-man story, or I didn't want to make this character-driven. I wanted to depict many people, but still you can feel the situation they put in. That's why I kind of focused on this microcosm of this abandoned high school. And talking about the music, yes, it's not the straightforward way of putting the music for narrative films. I've been making narrative films, drama, all the time. So you put some music when it gets emotional, but it was a little bit different this time. It's more like filling the gap of emptiness. When you see the empty field of Java, there's nobody there. I thought I would just put some notes there. So it's not really melody. It's more like the sound of breathe almost to me.
It's a flute, isn't it?
Yes, that's why I chose this flute. Yeah.
I'm here. I thank you very much for your film. I really commend you on your endeavor. I have, I think that the gate of Futaba, with its writing on the future of prosperity given by nuclear power is so grotesque that it is almost as evocative as the gate to Auschwitz. And I wanted to ask you three questions. The first one is, what is your connection with, if any, connection with Futaba before you decided to make the film, and why you decided to make this film? And the second one is, what, if you have any explanation of the solitude of the people, the refugees of Futaba, and the apparent lack of solidarity with them that you can see in the film. And finally, whether it was very difficult to get the film funded in Japan, or whether you got any funding also from outside sources. Thank you.
Okay, just let me ask easiest one. The third question is how did we get the funding from my producer, I guess.
予算は、まだ、持ち出しているばっかりで、何の回収もできていません。これから映画が世界の方に見てもらえると、その分が取り戻せるのかなと。そして、今これは、日本だけで作っておりますが、これから先、本当に双葉の方が帰れるまで10年かかるか20年かかるか分かりませんが、一応撮影すると決めてしまって双葉の方とも約束しているので、そのための資金はできれば世界中の方と共同制作したりとか、そういうことを強く望んでいます。
Actually, basically invested money into this project, and we are in a minus situation right now, so we need to actually get the money back in through showing this film, and it's also a part of showing it maybe worldwide, to get some of the expenses back into back. So far, the film was completely funded by Japanese money, but we actually have the plan to continue to shoot these citizens of Futaba for the next 10 or 20 years. We don't know how long it's going to take us. So that's already a decision that we made, and we actually made a promise to the citizens of Futaba that we will continue to film them. So in that sense, we absolutely need the support also from abroad, and we hope for international co-production, and we actually ask for international support as well.
And talking about the second question regarding the solitude of the people over there, as you saw, like there's no privacy over there, and at the same time, like it's when you are in the situation you don't have any belongings in your home and that you can connect it to deeply. That's a very lonely situation too. So it's most frustrating that you cannot be physically lonely, but you are feeling very lonely inside, and that was really heartbreaking to me. And whenever I was there, like it's, I couldn't take it really. Like, but I was chatting with the people, and I'm really grateful to the generosity of the people. They really welcomed me into them, because as you saw at the top of the film, the media person were not allowed to go in there. And it took me for 2 months, and I was just hanging out there outside, or almost every day, and then start talking with the people there around the smoking area, because that was the only area like people were hanging out outside and don't have anything to do. So and I started talking with them, and then I got along very well together with a couple of people there. And one day, one guy came up and told me, "Okay, you wanna come in?" That's how I got into this first floor art room. And one thing that was really interesting was that they got this bento lunchbox, right, every day. And that's paid by the, partially by the government, and partially by the Japanese Red Cross, and partially by those NGO funding. And so it's all for the Fukushima refugees. And I absolutely refused to eat that, like when people really said, "Okay, just eat this one because we're eating," and I said, "Okay, why don't you have this, that, and why don't you have that?" And then I was refusing at the beginning, and then when you are around every day there, they just keep asking you, "Okay, you should eat this," and then it almost became impolite to keep refusing it. And then being the part of